When most people think about success, the first thing that comes to mind is goals. We're taught to set goals, chase them, and measure our worth based on whether we hit them or not. But here's the truth: goals are temporary. They're moments in time. You reach one, and then what? You set another. It's a never-ending cycle. What actually changes your life isn't the goal. It's the growth you go through in the process of pursuing it. Because growth doesn't disappear once you achieve something. It stays with you, it shapes who you become, and it transforms every area of your life. If you focus only on goals, you'll find yourself achieving but still feeling empty. But if you focus on growth, you'll never stop evolving. Growth gives you confidence, resilience, strength, and fulfillment. It allows you to not just get what you want, but to become the kind of person who can create and sustain a life you're proud of. So, let's dive into the 3 key points that will show you why growth matters more than goals and how it will transform your life forever. When you set a goal, what you're really doing is putting a flag on the horizon. It's a way of saying, that's where I'm heading. That's the direction I want to move in. And goals are important because they give you focus, they give you clarity, and they give you a sense of purpose in the short term. But here's the problem: most people confuse the target with the transformation. They think the achievement itself is what will fulfill them. They believe once they hit that number on the scale, once they earn that dollar amount, once they close that deal, everything will change. And yes, it feels great in the moment, but that feeling doesn't last. What actually lasts is who you become in the process of moving toward that target. That's the real reward. That's growth. Think about it like this. If someone handed you your biggest goal on a silver platter without any effort on your part, you might feel excited for a short while. But deep down, it wouldn't mean nearly as much as it would if you fought for it, struggled for it, sweated for it, and grew into the kind of person capable of earning it. Why? Because transformation only comes through the process, not the outcome. The outcome is just a result, but the growth is the identity shift. You didn't just reach a destination, you became someone new along the way. That's why growth matters more. The beauty of focusing on growth over goals is that growth is permanent. When you stretch yourself, you can't shrink back. Once you've developed new habits, new beliefs, and new capabilities, they're yours forever. The goal may come and go, but the transformation remains. It's like lifting weights. You might train for a competition, but the real win isn't the medal. It's the strength you've built in your body and mind that stays with you long after the event is over. Now here's where most people get stuck. They set a goal, and when they reach it, they stop. They plateau. They celebrate for a moment, but then they feel an emptiness, wondering, is this all there is? That's because they were chasing the target instead of embracing the transformation. They forgot that the power is in the climb, not just the summit. Growth doesn't end when you check off the box. It continues as long as you keep demanding more of yourself. Goals are external, growth is internal. A goal can motivate you, but growth defines you. And when you make growth your priority, you'll find that the goals take care of themselves. You'll surpass them because you're no longer chasing something outside of you. You're cultivating something inside of you that makes everything else possible. This shift in focus changes the game because it removes the fear of failure. If your identity is built on growth, you can never fail because every experience is making you stronger, smarter, and more capable. Imagine 2 people running a marathon. One is obsessed with finishing under 4 hours. The other is focused on becoming a stronger, healthier, more disciplined version of themselves through training. Who do you think will actually enjoy the journey? Who will come out better on the other side, no matter the result? The one who embraced growth. Because even if they don't hit their exact time, they're still transformed by the process. And transformation is worth more than any stopwatch or medal. When you aim only at goals, you risk living life in a cycle of temporary highs and empty lows. You hit the target, celebrate, and then immediately feel the pressure to set another one. It becomes a hamster wheel of achievement with no lasting fulfillment. But when you live for growth, you're never empty, because every single day is an opportunity to expand, to evolve, to step into a new version of yourself. That daily progress gives you energy and power no external achievement can match. Growth also teaches you something goals never could: resilience. Because let's be honest, life doesn't always go according to plan. You won't always hit your goal on the first try. Sometimes you'll miss. Sometimes you'll fall short. And if your entire identity is built around the result, that failure will crush you. But if your identity is built on growth, failure is fuel. Every setback becomes feedback. Every obstacle becomes an opportunity to stretch yourself even further. That's transformation in action. Think about the last time you faced a real challenge. Maybe you lost a job, maybe a relationship ended, maybe something you were working toward collapsed. In the moment it felt devastating, but looking back, didn't it force you to grow? Didn't it push you to become stronger, more resourceful, more resilient? That's the hidden gift of growth. It transforms even the hardest moments into stepping stones. And once you realize that, you stop fearing the struggle, you start embracing it. When you live for goals, you measure your life by outcomes. When you live for growth, you measure your life by impact. Goals might tell you what you've accomplished, but growth shows you what you've become. And who you become will always outlast what you accomplish. A title can be taken away, money can be lost, achievements can fade. But growth, that's yours forever. It rewires your brain, rebuilds your habits, and recreates your entire identity. The truth is, the greatest transformations never come from achieving a single goal. They come from committing to growth over and over again, no matter what. Because growth is infinite. There's always another level to reach, another skill to learn, another way to expand. And when you dedicate yourself to that, life becomes an adventure. It stops being about ticking boxes and starts being about becoming the best possible version of yourself. The irony is that when you focus on growth, you often surpass your goals anyway, because you're not fixated on the finish line. You're focused on running stronger, faster, smarter every single day. And that daily commitment compounds into extraordinary results. You stop living in the pressure of someday when I achieve this, and start living in the power of I am growing today. That shift gives you freedom. It takes away the anxiety of outcomes and replaces it with the certainty of progress. So yes, set goals, use them as targets to give yourself direction, but never confuse the target with the transformation. The real win is not the medal, the paycheck, or the title. It's the strength, discipline, and wisdom you gain in the pursuit. Because those things will never leave you. They will shape every decision, every relationship, and every opportunity for the rest of your life. That's why growth matters more. And when you make growth your standard, you realize something powerful. You don't need to wait until you achieve the goal to feel successful. You can feel successful every single day because success is not the destination. It's the transformation happening inside of you right now as you grow. Achievement is something the world celebrates, but fulfillment is something only you can feel deep inside. They're not the same thing. We've all seen people who reach incredible height. Athletes at the top of their game, entrepreneurs building empires, celebrities adored by millions, and yet they still feel empty when the lights go off. Why? Because achievement without growth leaves a void. The external success doesn't match the internal evolution. Without growth, achievement is like eating sugar, sweet in the moment, but gone in an instant, leaving you craving more. Fulfillment, on the other hand, doesn't disappear when the applause fades. Fulfillment comes from knowing you're expanding, stretching, becoming more than you were yesterday. Fulfillment is born from growth. It's not about what you get. It's about who you're becoming in the process. That's why growth matters more. Because achievement might fill your shelf with trophies, but growth fills your heart with meaning. Think about the last time you overcame something tough, something that demanded everything you had. Maybe it wasn't glamorous, maybe nobody clapped for you, but inside you knew you had broken through to a new level of yourself. That feeling, the pride, the certainty, the quiet confidence, is fulfillment. That's the gift of growth. It doesn't require validation from the outside world because it's anchored in your own evolution. Achievement is a destination. Fulfillment is a journey, and the journey is where the richness of life exists. Because let's be honest, the moment of achieving a goal is fleeting. You reach it, you celebrate, and within days, sometimes even hours, your brain is already asking, what's next? If your life is built only around that cycle, you'll never feel satisfied. But if your life is built around growth, then every step forward is satisfying. Every bit of progress is fulfilling. You don't need to wait until the end, you get to feel it every day. Growth feeds a hunger that achievement never could. That hunger is the human need to evolve, to expand what's possible. It's the need to know that tomorrow you'll be more than you were today. That's why people who are constantly growing seem alive, energized, lit up. They're not waiting for a moment of success to give them permission to feel good. They're fueled by the growth itself. It's the process, not the prize, that gives them joy. When you live only for achievement, you're living in comparison. You measure yourself against the scoreboard, against your peers, against the expectations of the world, and comparison is the thief of joy. But when you live for growth, you're in competition with only one person, who you were yesterday. That's the only race that matters, and winning that race brings fulfillment because it's a victory you can always achieve. Fulfillment through growth also brings peace, because when you know you're growing, you stop obsessing over outcomes. You no longer need to control every detail. You trust the process because you understand the process is the point. And in that trust, you find freedom. You stop chasing happiness and start creating it in real time through the act of becoming more. The truth is, achievements are milestones, but they don't change your inner state unless growth is tied to them. That's why so many people achieve something big and then spiral into depression. They thought the achievement would fix everything. They thought the success would heal the emptiness inside. But if you didn't grow in the process, nothing changes when you arrive. You're the same person, just standing in a different place. Growth, on the other hand, ensures that when you arrive, you're no longer the same. You've elevated, you've expanded, you've transformed, and that transformation is what makes the achievement meaningful. Fulfillment is deeply connected to contribution, and contribution is impossible without growth. You can't pour into others from an empty cup. You can't lift others if you haven't lifted yourself. When you grow, you expand your capacity to love, to give, to serve, and that act of contribution is what makes life truly fulfilling. Not the applause, not the accolades, but the knowledge that who you've become is now capable of impacting others in a way you couldn't before. Growth also gives you fulfillment because it creates alignment. When you grow, you align your actions with your values. You stop living based on what the world thinks you should achieve, and you start living based on what feels right to your soul. That alignment is powerful. It brings a sense of peace, a sense of certainty, a sense of knowing you're on the right path even if the world doesn't understand. That's fulfillment. It's living authentically, not for approval, but for your own evolution. And here's something most people miss. Growth makes fulfillment sustainable. Achievements are temporary highs, they fade. Growth is a compounding force. Every bit of progress builds on the last. It stacks, it multiplies, it deepens. And over time, that creates a foundation of fulfillment that nothing external can shake. It's the difference between chasing a spark and building a fire that never goes out. You don't have to wait until you arrive at some achievement to feel fulfilled. You can feel it right now today if you're growing. That's the secret. That's the shift. Instead of asking, what have I accomplished? Start asking, how have I grown? That question will unlock fulfillment because it puts the focus on something you can control every single day. You might not always control outcomes, but you can always control your growth. And the more you grow, the more life opens up to you. You start noticing opportunities you would have missed before. You start building relationships at a deeper level. You start experiencing joy in the small things because you're not waiting for life to give you permission to feel good. You're already fulfilled because you know you're becoming more. That's the gift growth gives you. The ability to live fully, not someday, but today. That's why growth matters more than goals, because goals can give you achievements, but only growth can give you fulfillment, and fulfillment is what you're truly after. It's the energy behind every desire, every dream, every goal. You don't want the thing, you want the feeling. Growth is the only thing that guarantees that feeling will last. When you think about what it means to be unstoppable, most people imagine never failing, never stumbling, never struggling. But that's not what unstoppable really is. Being unstoppable doesn't mean avoiding obstacles. It means becoming the kind of person who cannot be broken by them. And that strength doesn't come from hitting goals. It comes from growth. Growth is what builds your resilience, your adaptability, your capacity to rise no matter what life throws at you. The truth is, goals can be stolen, circumstances can change, an economic crash can wipe away your financial targets. A sudden shift can take away a title you worked years to earn, but growth is yours forever. Once you've expanded, once you've leveled up, no one can take that away from you. That's why growth makes you unstoppable, because no matter what happens on the outside, you're stronger on the inside. Think of it like climbing a mountain. You set a goal to reach the top, but along the way the weather changes, the trail disappears, and unexpected challenges appear. If your only focus is on the summit, you'll be crushed by setbacks. But if your focus is on growth, every obstacle becomes part of your training. The storm that others see as a reason to quit, you see as a chance to toughen your spirit. The detour that frustrates others, you see as an opportunity to learn new skills. With growth as your focus, nothing can stop you, because every obstacle is fuel. Growth teaches you adaptability. It rewires your mind to see challenges not as walls, but as doors waiting to be opened. When you commit to growth, you train yourself to pivot, to adjust, to evolve in the face of adversity. That adaptability is the hallmark of unstoppable people, because life will always change. Mark its shift, technology advances, relationships evolve. But if you're growing, you'll always be prepared. You'll never be outdated, because you'll always be becoming more. The unstoppable spirit comes from knowing that setbacks don't define you, they refine you. When you hit a roadblock, when a dream shatters, when a plan collapses, you don't crumble. You extract the lesson, you grow from it, and you rise again. That's what makes you unshakable. You stop fearing failure because you understand that failure isn't the end, it's part of the growth. And when failure becomes growth, it loses its power over you. Think about the greatest breakthroughs in your life. Were they born out of smooth sailing and easy wins? Or did they come after pain, after struggle, after being pushed to your limits? Every breakthrough is preceded by a breakdown, and it's growth that turns that breakdown into a breakthrough. Without growth, the pain just breaks you. But with growth, the pain transforms you into someone stronger, wiser, more resilient. That's the unstoppable edge. Growth also builds momentum. When you grow, even in small ways, you stack wins that compound over time. That compounding effect creates confidence, and confidence creates energy. And when you're energized, you move faster, you push harder, you dream bigger. That momentum is what carries you through seasons when motivation fades. Because motivation is fleeting, but growth creates a permanent shift in who you are. Once you've grown, you don't go back. That's how you become unstoppable, not by waiting for motivation, but by constantly expanding your capacity. Another reason growth makes you unstoppable is that it eliminates dependence on external circumstances. If you're chasing goals, you're at the mercy of things outside your control. You need the deal to close, the approval to come, the situation to align. But if you're chasing growth, you're free. You don't need the world to give you permission to win. You can win every day because growth is always available. No one can stop you from growing except you. That's the ultimate power. Unstoppable people are not those who avoid fear. They are those who grow through it. Fear never disappears. It just changes form. Every new level of life will bring new fears. But when growth is your focus, fear becomes a signal of where to go next, not a barrier to hold you back. Growth teaches you that the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. And once you understand that, fear no longer paralyzes you, it energizes you. Growth also makes you unstoppable because it builds identity. When you focus on goals, your identity is fragile. It's tied to whether you succeed or fail in hitting a number, an outcome, or an achievement. But when you focus on growth, your identity becomes rooted in progress. You become the kind of person who is always evolving, always learning, always becoming more. That identity is unbreakable because it's not tied to a single event. It's tied to the never-ending process of becoming. When you're committed to growth, you start to realize there is no ceiling. Every time you think you've reached your limit, you discover another level, and that awareness alone makes you unstoppable. Because most people stop when they hit resistance, but you know resistance is where the growth lies. You don't stop at the wall. You push through it, and each time you do, you expand your belief in what's possible. Eventually, the walls that used to intimidate you become laughable because you've outgrown them. Growth also strengthens your ability to serve others, and that's a secret most people miss. Unstoppable people don't just build themselves, they build others. The more you grow, the more you have to give, the more you expand, the more you can lift others up. And when your mission becomes bigger than yourself, you become unstoppable in a whole new way. Because nothing is more powerful than a person who grows not just for their own success, but for the impact they can have on the world around them. Every challenge, every setback, every heartbreak you've faced has given you the opportunity to grow. And if you've embraced that growth, you've noticed something. Nothing life throws at you can truly break you anymore, because once you've grown from the pain loses its hold. Once you've grown from the fear loses its grip. That's what makes you unstoppable. You're no longer controlled by circumstances because you've grown beyond them. And the beauty of growth is that it doesn't just prepare you for the obstacles you know. It prepares you for the ones you can't even see yet. Growth gives you the mindset, the resilience, the adaptability to face the unknown with certainty. You stop needing guarantees because you've built yourself into the guarantee. You know that no matter what happens, you will grow, you will adapt, you will rise. That's the essence of being unstoppable. And once you truly embrace growth, you'll realize something life-changing. You don't have to fear the future anymore, because the future isn't about what will happen to you. It's about how much you will grow through it. And when growth is your focus, the future can bring whatever it wants. You'll still win.